Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal. And if you are watching for the first time, I just wanted to let you know that we have a little process that we do on these live broadcasts. What we do is we start off with doing some news and updates of the various viewers, which is really important for the regulars. And then we get into the topics. So if you're watching this on the replay, check on the notes below. And you will find that will tell you where the different segments of the broadcast are located. So you can go directly there. If you're brand new and just want the topic, then you can click on the topic. Today we've got a topic and an unboxing. I've got a box. Yay. And so then we're going to do that. All right. Hi, Linda. How are you doing? Hi, Jody. Good to see you as well. All right. So everybody, if you understand that, that's how it works out, right? So we will do the news and views first, then we do the topic, and then we'll do the unboxing. So that's good. Linda, report back to you. I have good news and bad news, but I think you might agree with me. The good news was I did take some of the stuff downstairs, even though it took me all week to do it. But Linda, I wanted to confess to you, I didn't take the boxes downstairs. And the reason was I think they're too heavy. It would be actually a little bit dangerous for me to try to take those downstairs. So the good news is on that one that Dougie is coming tomorrow and I will get him to take them down for me. Is that fair enough? I just don't want to be carrying them downstairs. To me, that's like possibly not good for my back and not good for my health generally. But I did keep the commitment as far as I could, which is what I wanted you to know. All right. So Jody, thank you for sending me the link. I am now going to just take that and put it up. Just bear with me for those of you who are watching for the first time. I can't do this until we go live. So it's just one of those things that we have to do once we go live. So hang on one second. Oh, Jody, remind me to teach you something. I keep forgetting to do that. So just make a note that I need to teach you how to put up the links a different way. All right, so there we go. So what have we done? We've got everything sorted out, I think. All right, so I'm going to move that screen. We're nearly there. Yeah, Linda, I'm glad that you agree with me. By the way, for those of you watching on the replay, Linda's saying to me, brilliant call. When I'm in that situation, I have a box on top of the one at the bottom, and I just shift one or two items between boxes. Do you know something? I actually started to do that, and even then I thought, you know something? This is a make work project. Why don't I just get Dougie to take them down when he's here? And then I'll be able to, by Sunday, tell you it's done. Because you know me, I like to delegate. All right, so just a couple of updates. Thoughts and prayers. We're still waiting for Erin's results to come in. We're hoping that she'll get some, I think it's this week she gets those tests redone. And if she is clear, then we'll all be very happy on that one. Hi, Ireland. Good to see you. And right, for those of you who, wait a minute, let me just go back to the thoughts and prayers here. Lauren's sister, I believe, is still in hospital. That's the last I heard. And Lauren is home, which is awesome. Jody is doing particularly well. She had some issues with her puppy this week. And how many of you have got pets, I wonder? And one of the things I had to remind her is that a pet is a pet, it's not a child. And, and as such, does need to have certain boundaries, the same as a child, which is called, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. But Jody, thank you for actually playing that game, and I'm glad that it's working for you. Yeah, it's so funny how many people have been astonished at the manners of my pets when I've had them, and I go, yeah, the reason they've got good manners is because I taught them to them. You know, you don't get to bark at everybody, you don't get to yap at everybody, you don't get to you know do all sorts of things. So it's really quite funny. I always think the first week with a puppy is the most important. Mm. So Jodi's just saying, thank you. The advice helped. Yeah, it's just that we are inclined to treat our pets when we first have them as children. And, it's a pet and you need to be a good parent. And when I say a good parent, you need to teach it boundaries. You need to teach it what I was telling Jodi that one of my favorite stories was I went off to Africa to go and um, I went to go and visit my mom, and a guy came in to dog sit one of my cross German Shepherd collie. And after 6 weeks, um, first of all, you needed to have a machete to get into the house because he obviously didn't vacuum up any hair. And the second thing was that he said to me, how did you train your dog to wake you up in the middle of the night with a tennis ball, dropping it on your face? And I said, I never did. My dog would never do that to me because he actually values his life. And if he did that to me in the middle of the night, he knows what would happen. By the way, how did my dog train you to get up and play ball with him in the middle of the night? All right, and the other thing was apparently he also taught it to go out and pee by throwing a piece of pizza. Now, my dog's not stupid. Hi, Chip. My dog's not stupid. My dog knew jolly well, hey, if I wait here long enough, he's going to throw me a piece of pizza outside and I'll be able to go eat it. you know. And then, when he woke up in the middle of the night because of the pizza he'd had late at night, then he picked up his ball and went and dropped it on his face because he knew he'd get up and go play with him. And I just burst out laughing. And I said, let me tell you that dogs will get away, like children will get away with whatever it is they can get away with. So, Jodi, just keep chuckling and remind yourself a dog. Thank you for all of you who supported Becca this week. I know quite a few of you did because you wrote and told me about it. So well done. And it's, it's something that we do. We all go through stages where we need a bit of extra support. So just in case anybody wants to know, because you do ask me these things afterwards, let me just get the information out. The eyes are from a Rimmel palette called Magnifies Shadow. And it's these first three colors. These are the first three colors that I used, just so that you know. And this palette I got, I think, a couple of years ago even, but I still use it every now and then. And for those of you who like to know about the lip color, today I am using, also funny enough, from Walmart, New York City, I think it's called, 317. No, I lie, 417. I thought it was 317, but it's 417. Can you see that? And really creamy. I like those lipsticks because they're really creamy. They don't last a great length of time, but they're really creamy. All right, so here we go. I am going to be just giving those people who are watching and maybe haven't been a regular viewer, just so that you know, if you go to the DearMamaSal YouTube page, which you may be on already if you're watching this, there should be a bell somewhere in the top right-hand corner, where my beautiful face is. And if you click on that, it will always notify you when I'm about to go live. Yes, I thought they were pretty colors as well, Jodi. Thank you. All right. So if you will do that, by the way, really recommend you go to DearMamaSal on Facebook and on Twitter, because that is where I will put up notifications, give you actually 35-minute warning normally, just so that you know that. There are no birthdays and anniversaries this week of which I know. So if you got a birthday this week, Taylor. I apologize, Taylor. Let me write that in there for the next broadcast that we do. It's Taylor's 1-year anniversary of being with Jodie. Taylor being Jodie's absolutely adorable fluff ball. So, and I'm certain you bought presents for Taylor for the 1-year anniversary, because that is what you do. So it really is an adorable fluff ball. It looks, hang on a second, let me see if I got this right. I think it's a cross Pomeranian something, and it's a white fluff ball. Right, it's probably a purebred something. Okay, Jodie, tell me again so that I get it right. But it looks like a sort of pure white Pomeranian thing. I say thing because, it's like, it's way too cute to be just a dog. It's just a fluff ball. Anyway, Jodie will let me know exactly what the breed is. For those of you who didn't hear, Lauren is now home. And I think that going home was both good news and challenging for her. All right. As you can imagine, after all those months in hospital, now suddenly she's able to eat whatever she wants, but she probably has to go and make it. So that is something that, she now has to deal with. All right. I'm quite right. He's a Pom American Eskimo mix. I bet it's as cute as a button. For those of you who like to see doggies, we have our pets page on the DearMamaSal.com website. And on there, if you click on there, one of the tabs is our pet page, I think, or pet page. One of the tabs actually says that. So you can go there and see all the different pets that people have, for those of you who like to watch pets. All right. And if you have a pet and haven't let me have a picture of it, that is obviously not a good thing, because we do like to keep updated with our pets. All right. So news-wise, I'm actually, as I said earlier to Linda, Dougie is coming to take me to lunch tomorrow. It's our rain check on Mother's Day. If you remember, something happened on Mother's Day and he couldn't take me to lunch. So we are actually going to go and do that tomorrow. But then I will also use his strength to carry down some things. And by the way, he was telling me that he has plans to get up at some unearthly hour of the day and go downtown Vancouver and watch the World Cup final live in downtown Vancouver, which I bet you will be an absolute blast. And by the way, for any of Linda and anybody else in Britain, I want to tell you how sad I was that you got knocked out when you did. I'm certain it was heartbreaking. I personally was rooting for you, which is always perhaps a dangerous thing. But you way to go that you got that far. I mean, to get into the final four was incredible. So I'm very proud of you. I'm not sure when you have one more match, right, to decide whether you get the bronze or nothing. Or just be able to say you were in the final four. But well done. By the way, Linda, just to let you know, I actually watched the one World Cup that Britain won. And I can even tell you that Gordon Banks was the goalie in it at the time. And that's how memorable it was for me. I was in it must have been about 68, I think, that it happened. That would be my guess. And I watched it, and I remember I knew the name of every single player in the team because I had to. My brother, Jeff, some of you have met Big Brother Jeff, wouldn't let me in the room unless I could actually quote every member of the team. He's a bit of a control freak, but guess what? I knew every member of the team. So, but that was a long time ago when I still had brain cells. All right. So, Linda, one step at a time. Let's give a big round of applause to Linda. She actually did her challenge for the week immediately. She had it done within 24 hours. She did her Tupperware cupboard in 16 minutes. Talk about wonderful. So I thought that was absolutely amazing. And yeah, I agree. Absolute round of applause. It took me a lot longer, but I did do my part. All right. So anybody else taking a step this week that I should know about? Yeah, we're all proud of you. And Linda, what's the next step? Anybody else want to be held accountable on anything? I went to the bank. For those of you who know about my downsizing project, one of the important things was to go and discuss with the bank, what I could do financially. Really? Linda's telling me she has Gordon Banks's autograph and both Bobby and Jackie Charlton. It gets the job done. Yeah, doesn't it? And that's why I'm asking, what's your next thing that you'd like some support on? I think we all need that sort of manager person in our life just to help us take the next step. I want to tell you, I've procrastinated about getting to the bank for the longest time. And I found out some truths that were really quite surprising in some ways. But on the other side, I was really proud that I'd done as much research as I had, because almost every question the bank guy asked me in trying to be helpful, I had my answer. And he just said to me, "Boy, you've really done your research." And I said, "Yeah, I did." So anybody who wants a bit of help doing the next thing? Chip, what's your next step? Okay, Chip wants to do kitchen drawers and cabinets. Okay, so we're not going to do all of them in a week, right, Chip? Because that's bound to be too much like hard work. So give me one drawer and to start with, and preferably, maybe even one drawer or two drawers, whatever you think is comfortable. We're not looking for you to have a nightmare here. We're looking for, to get positive. How many of you overset your goals? Give yourself unreachable, just stuff that's going to drive you insane. I find doing one drawer actually takes about, depends how dirty it is. In my case, they're well overdue, but it really doesn't take more than about 15 minutes total. And, I put everything that can into the dishwasher and I clean out the drawer, and then I wait for the dishwasher to clean, and then I put everything back. Oh, including, if you've got dividers in your drawers or whatever that are washable, I throw those in the dishwasher as well. So I think a drawer is a great one. Which one do you think is your worst drawer? I always start with the worst. Whenever I do a room, what is the worst part of this room? Let me start with that. Hi, Triona. We're doing one step at a time. Is there anything you'd like some help on? Chip has just said she wants some help doing a drawer. Yes, Linda, it doesn't matter if it's not house related. It's just, how can we support you in taking one step that you need to take? Jody, I don't hear anything from you. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire here. What is it that you've been procrastinating about that you would like to get accomplished? Did you do anything creative this week? By the way, I'm thinking that I probably am going to do a video on my Fitbit. And the reason is because I don't know if you can believe this, but my Fitbit gave me some information that I cannot get anywhere else. And it actually helped me totally improve my sleep. And so I thought some of you might like to know about that. Okay, so you've got an eBay shop, Linda, and you're going to do 5 listings a day. Wow. What are you selling on eBay? And did you send us the link so I can send people your way? How many of you going, Way to go, Linda. And while she's telling me that, I did, Jody knows, but I just want you to know, I did get into the studio. That was one of my big procrastinations. Hold on a second. These aren't finished, but they are nearly dry. I did some more they're sort of like trivets. So there's this one and this one. They're a matching pair. Oops. They're not quite dry, which is why I've got to be careful here. They're sort of like a matching pair. Now, I tell you what I have done, and I'm going to try it. I actually have got sand, and I was thinking of trying to actually put sand when I next do one of these, is actually put sand on it and make it look like a beach scene. Okay, so Triona's looking to lose some weight. Oh, that's a good point, Triona. Thank you for mentioning that. I put on a pound and lost it again, but I've got a feeling that I'm now on the downwards path. Just to let you know, one of the tricks that I have is I drink breakfast. This is breakfast. And what I do, I wanted to show you this, but I nearly finished it. I grind up I buy steel rolled oats, and I grind it into a powder. And then I also put in, this is what I call a healthy additive. It has fruit and vegetables and stuff in it, apparently. So I do about 4 big teaspoons of oats and 1 teaspoon of this, because this is vitamins and minerals. And then I put in some milk powder, skim milk powder, put in some ice cubes, and then some water. And then, this is an exercise. All right, this is really good exercise for parts of your body that jiggle. So I literally, part of making my breakfast is I actually work out. And of course, depending on where you use it, can you see the jiggly bits there? All 4 of them. Okay, so that's what I do to help myself just use those muscles. Okay, so that's my breakfast. I haven't had it yet, obviously. All right, so let me see what... that's interesting. Linda's saying she's had one for 15 years now. Income with having kids. Sell anything that makes money legally. Sold a huge multicolored... Yeah, really. Yeah, nice one. I'll let the broadcast viewers enjoy that one. All right. And so well done, Jody. She managed to organize her craft cart. Give her a big round of applause, because we know she's been meaning to do that. And now she's a little more organized. I didn't create anything there, just spent time tidying and organizing. You'd like to continue your cross stitch. Mm-hmm. How many of you can hear like to? I know that's the ultimate excuse for not being held accountable. Well, I thought I'd get to it, but I didn't. Okay, so if you want to actually achieve a goal, you need to do what Linda did, which is to say, I am going to. Okay, Jody's going, I will continue my cross stitch in this coming week. So by the next broadcast on Friday lunchtime, you will be able to say, okay, I'm putting you on the list now. So you better. Okay, so let me get this on here. So report back. This is Jody cross stitch. And what have I got? Linda. Linda, what did you say? Oh, yes, Linda on eBay. Okay, and I think, Chip, what was yours? Did you give me back something? Oh, wait a minute. Triona, losing weight. What are you going to do? Another pound? Oh, yes, chips doing kitchen drawers. So sorry, I forgot about that. How many? Okay, this is 35 listings. Wow. That sounds like a lot of work. Yes, and actually, what I do as well, I think I forgot to mention that when I do the oats, I have a 9-grain mixture that I also pulverize in my magic bullet, and I mix them up. It's about 3 spoons of oats and 1 spoon of 9-grain multigrains, including chia seeds. So yes, I totally agree. Flax, chia, I've got it's all in one mix, and I do that. Yeah. So as you can see, it works beautifully. All right, everybody. So we're about to do a time check here, Jody, for 27 minutes is what I'm going to do. Put you down for, I'm going to put you down for a pound, no fingers crossed. Right? Because the only way, if I do fingers crossed, that means you're going to try. I know you're not going to try. I know you're going to do it. By the way, if you worked really hard at it and then know where you let go, that's okay. You know what I mean? For example, when I started, I ended up putting on a pound before I before I lost a pound. You know what I mean? I and I had this real problem this week. When I went shopping, I did my monthly big shop, and when I went shopping, there was this incredible pavlova cake, and it was like hazelnut meringue and cream, stacked. How many of you know there was no way I could say no to that? Now, I'm being a very good girl because I'm forcing myself to eat a couple of slices a day, and I should have it finished by the end of the weekend. But it's a real effort to have to eat it. Right? Oh, I want to tell you, it was worth every calorie. And it wasn't as many calories as you might think. And that's the funny thing. Every now and then you need to look at it and remember that you're going to cut it probably into 8 slices, right? So when you think about it, it actually buying a cake and allowing yourself to have a cake, piece of cake for dessert or something, actually isn't as many calories as you think it is. So I just thought I would let you know that it's okay to splurge. Right, here we go, Jody. Actually, it's going to be 29 minutes. We're going to start. Or 28 and a half. Let's do it that way. All right, so here we go. Today, we are talking about what I got in the mail. And I know that a lot of you do know this, but for those of you who might be new, and for those of you who are ghosting, welcome. Ghosting as in you are listening to this from the universe somewhere, but not actually in the room. You are always welcome, and we are delighted to have you as part of the broadcast. The thing is that whenever you want to, feel free to join in, and if you don't don't worry about it. Yeah, we love it that you ghost. All right, so there's our second Jody coming in. Hi, Jody. And she is busy doing what I'm doing. She's decluttering. She retired 3 months ago. A long way to go. Believe me, I know. I still think I've got a couple of months to go, but I need to get it speeded up because I'm not doing enough at the moment. All right, we're going to start on this topic for today, Jody. Right, 29. Let's call that 29:45. I wanted to just let you know that we're going to be doing a mini workshop here, And what I like to do with these mini workshops is I'm going to tell you a story and we're going to do a case study on it. So if you haven't got a pen and a notebook or something you can write in with you, for those of you who like to take notes, you probably already got them, but you might want to take notes as to what comes up here, because even though this is about somebody else, you probably can relate to it either for yourself or within somebody within your family or your extended family and friends. And that is why I like to do these sometimes difficult subjects. And I'm going to start by a quote that I found, and I can't tell you who said it because it's not acknowledged, but it says, "A daughter needs a dad to be the standard against which she will judge all men." Now, I know, in defense of those of you who might or might not be in same-sex marriages, I'm going to say a dad figure, that like you have sort of, you need to be able to have both sides of this equation. And I also believe a son needs a mother figure in their life. And if you haven't got a father figure in your life, then my recommendation is get one. And if you've got a father figure in your life that doesn't deserve you as a daughter, I've always said your family are the people that you were given at birth, but they may not be a family. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. But I believe it is our job to create our own families. So I have to tell you, I, for one, have done that. I have literally created a new group of people around me that act as my family, because it's really important. I didn't get the sort of family that, we're all close or anything like that. We're not at all. And so I've created that family for myself. And I wonder if any of the viewers have done that. Let me know. And so as I go on, I just want to explain to you, this is an email I got this week, and some of you will know that I get a lot of these. A lot of people write to me during the week, and without necessarily doing broadcasts on them, I answer them and try and help people, as you know. So if any of you've got an issue that you would like some help with, feel free to write to me, as Jody said. At DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. So this was one that came through this week. And I've decided to discuss it because it's not the first time I heard this subject. In other words, this subject has come up more than a few times for me. I want to warn you, for those of you who are watching, that it's a traumatic subject. It's about family physical abuse. And so therefore, I would recommend that if you are in a vulnerable place emotionally, you probably don't want to be listening to this. However, for those of you who care to continue from this point onwards, I need you to get yourself into a place where you are safe, all right? This is not about, this is a practice for you to hear stuff that isn't good, but learn that I can hear this, I can have compassion, I can give input, but I don't have to take it on. Do you all understand your responsibility here? If you start to get overly triggered, let me know and we will work through that. Okay. Yeah, Jody. Now, I'm laughing with Jody because Jody is inclined to get very heated on subjects, and especially ones that have to, on certain subjects. So, Jody, does anybody else need to take a deep breath and go, okay, I can do this? Right? This is your lesson. Can you protect yourself from what you're about to hear? All right. I'm going to read it in small bits. And the reason is because I want you to hear each bit and then feel that whatever it is that you feel. And that's why I want you to have a pen and a piece of paper. Feel whatever it is you feel as I read each bit and then write it down. And then we'll be discussing it. However, understand that the person who wrote to me comes from Asia. I'm going to have it continent because, I want you to know that she's writing in English, but it's not her mother tongue. Do you all understand that, right? And I want to read the email as she sent it to me. So understand that she's done a great job considering she did it in another language, right? The other thing I need you to know is I asked for permission to repeat the story and discuss it with you because I believe a lot of people will learn a lot from talking about it. So I really want to give her a big hug and thanks. She gave permission. And obviously, I'm not going to use her name. But I really thanked her for allowing us to be able to talk about it. So just remember, at the end of each bit, even if you do just one word, if you go, okay, I heard this, this is what I feel right now. Do you feel anger? Do you feel, you might want to say, what do you see is happening? All right. Do you hear abuse? Do you hear neglect? Do you hear, so just sort of try and process in writing quickly. Okay. You all ready? As I said, not fun to listen to, but important to hear. The first bit, this is what I opened up. I need advice. Oh, actually, it did start with, Dear Mama Sal, I hope you don't mind. I need some advice. Okay. I need some advice. Since I was little, my dad is very abusive. He believes he is the man of the house, and if he said anything, he is right, and he will start beating. Write down your feelings. First of all, what do those words bring out in you? And secondly, what actions do you hear are going on? All right. Anybody got any feedback? What did you feel when you heard that? What emotion did you feel? And why? Jody felt anger when she heard it. Chip felt anger when she heard it. Don't worry, Linda, you can do the rest of it, honey. The question was, what was the emotion you felt when you heard those words? All right, so let's hear why. Why did you feel anger? I want to make sure you understand what triggers you, okay? No problem, Linda. Now, some people will feel anger because they're reliving a personal experience. Oh, Jody's answer is, how dare he? And that is a good question. All right, Triona says, it's just wrong, but you said another culture. Yes, that's why well done, Triona. It gives me goosebumps that you understood. That is why I added that she is from a different culture. Chip asked, what's the purpose for physical violence? We're going to talk about that. What do you think is the purpose of it, Chip? So this is why I want this to be something you think about. This is, why do people abuse other people? What causes it? I actually wrote down, control is one of them. Yes, well done, Linda. Right. People abuse other people because they can't control them any other way. The only way I can control you is, okay? Anybody else? Are there any other factors why? Ego, right? How many of you can see that I am better than you, so there's an ego here. I actually added entitlement, Jody, rather than just ego. There's an entitlement here. I am your father. Yeah, ego and pride. Yes. Okay, so you all understand what we're doing here, right? By the way, Just a quick question, and I'm going to keep asking this same question time and time again. Do any of you relate from this for this on the wrong side? Have any of you ever taken control in anger? I have. So I just want to own that. I've learned better since, but I have done it. So I know that I have been guilty of this myself, but I have learned a lot. So you don't have to answer that, by the way. Don't answer that. Just think about it, all right? All right, here's the second bit. So take a deep breath. It's very short. He hurt me for years until one day I walked away. Write down your feelings when you hear that and why you feel that way. So in hearing the words, he hurt me for years until one day I walked away, what was your feeling when you heard that? Oh, interesting. Triona says freedom, free. Yeah. Anybody else have a word for that little bit? I'm hoping that the person who wrote this will get to listen to this and hear your input. Oh, Jody says she's proud of her. Yes, Linda says she has self-worth. She understands that, yeah, well done. Okay. I use the word courage because I, for one, know what it's like to walk away from an abuser. Yeah, strength. Yes. So that takes all of those things. How many of you, you don't have to answer, but how many of you have been in a situation that you walked away from some sort of a situation where you were being either mentally or physically abused? And if so, you know what courage it takes. You know the freedom of having done it. It's very difficult to lead up to it, but once you've done it, you think, yes, and the pride, I did this for myself, and therefore your self-worth. So really good stuff, people. Thank you. All right, another deep breath. Here we go. The next bit isn't going to please you as much, so take a deep breath, please. All right, after 8 years, I heard that my dad is old and he has no job. The owner of the house is going to kick him out because he can't pay the rent. So after hearing that, I moved into a bigger house and invited him. Hi, Sakura. We're in the middle of a case study, so just listen up. You'll get the idea as we move along. So here we go again. After 8 years, just write down what you feel when you hear this and why. After 8 years, I heard that my dad is old and he has no job. The owner of the house is going to kick him out because he can't pay the rent. So after hearing that, I moved into a bigger house and invited him. What was your initial reaction to that? What was the feeling you got? Obligation, Jody says. She hears obligation. But what did it do to you, Jody, hearing that? Right? That's the second part. That's about her. What about you? How did you feel when you heard that? And why? Yes, sad. And Jody says she felt sad. And remember to do the why. All right. Then Chip says, sounds like something I would do out of feeling sorry for him. So you can relate, Chip. Okay. Triona says, with tears in my eyes, she's a better person than he was. Linda says she hears parental guilt. And Jody is sad for both parties. I must admit that my initial reaction when I read that part was I was also sad that she felt she needed to do that. But also I was proud of her kindness because that was, above looking after yourself, that was looking after somebody else. Sakura, who just joined in, just said, it melted my heart. But I won't do that for my dad because it's hard to live with mine. Okay, well, this one is abusing her, Sakura. So just know that I had a feeling that if you were here, you'd probably relate to this at some level. All right, so this next paragraph is a bit longer, so get ready with your pen. I will read it twice so you've got time to write down what does it bring out in you and why, and what else do you feel about it? All right, what do you see happening here? Take a deep breath, everybody. Get grounded. Now, just because we moved into the same house, he started believing the same again and started beating me up. I make a police report. They say that if I want a better future, even if he treated me bad, I have to treat him good. Let him be him because he's old and he's still my father. I am 32. All my family knows his behavior and have walked away. Lots of stuff in there. So first of all, let's do it in bits. All right. Now, just because we moved into the same house, he started believing the same again and started beating me up. How many of you felt anger at that bit? I'm pretty sure quite a few of you. But the thing that made me more than angry, and I just want to make sure you know that I was more than angry when I read this, I make a police report, and they say that if I want a better future, even if he treats me bad, I have to treat him good. Yeah, Sakura. Absolutely. Sakura is saying it made me mad about the police, and that's no excuse. I quite agree. Chip saying that's unreal. Yep. But remember, a different country, different culture, where parents are considered to be, Jodi's just going, no, no, no. All right. And the fact that the whole family just turned their back. Yeah, Linda's saying, no way, the police were wrong. I believe that as well. And so what we hear is in that culture, the police are not getting the sort of training that actually understands abuse. That was my feeling, that we need to go there and do some work there. I know it's the same as your culture in the Philippines, Sakura, and that's why I want to talk about this, because I know there are a lot of people in the Philippines that probably need to hear this, not only in the Philippines, but in China, in Malaysia. There are all sorts of people that are living in that culture where the parents are king. Yes, and listen to what Jodi says. She says, what a guilt trip to put on her. The whole family turned their back and left her to deal with the father. How many of you know stories about that one? Everybody leaves the parents to the responsibility of one of the children. And I certainly understand that one. I also totally agree with you about the authority figures, i.e. the police, had no right to tell her what they did. I believe that she should have been protected, my personal belief. Yes, I also had the word guilt on this one, Jodi, or whoever it was that said that. Who said guilt? And the abandonment by the rest of the family. Yeah, Jodi said guilt. That's what I thought. So really important stuff, right? Guilt is a biggie. Yeah, I quite agree. You feel you have to because nobody else is doing it. Therefore, I have to. Well, no, you don't have to. You need to hold the rest of your family responsible. That's the difference. You are equally children, and the whole family is responsible, not just one person. Okay, so take a deep breath. Here's the next one. Remember, write down what you feel and why. I'm feeling sorry and keeping him. But if I keep getting beat up since I'm small, until now I'm 32, and that doesn't stop, I am afraid that I might go crazy. So what do you feel when you hear that? And why? Also, because we're into very difficult stuff here, if you're feeling this at a very deep level, remember to protect yourself. This is a story. Okay, so Sakura says she can relate. Yes, Sakura. And I'm so sorry that you can relate. Jody says she can hear fear for her life. It's a girl, Chip. Chip says my heart goes out to him or her. Linda says, again, guilt, fear if anything is wrong, especially family. And Sakura feels great sympathy. And I would like to say that anybody who's been in that situation probably would feel sympathy, because it's, that level of, I have to look after this person, they are my family. And in that culture, that is really a big issue. Yes, Chip saying she's not allowed to live her life to the fullest. Well, whose job is it to live her life to the fullest? Chip. So now we're going to start doing the learning around this. I'm going to ask a whole series of questions here. How many of you understand the fact that she wrote to me tells us what? Jody's saying, imagine living in that scenario day after day. It's so very sad. But, more than a few of us have lived that in a different way. Maybe not with a parent, maybe with a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. We've quite a lot of people will relate to this at a different level. And that's why I wanted to use it as a case study. Yes, Chip. Chip says, great point, Sal. She's over the BS. Yes, the fact that she wrote to me and asked me this question, I'm pretty sure, well, actually, I know the answer. I'm pretty sure that she knew what she had to do. She just needed permission to do it. Yes, Linda's saying it tells us that she is frightened and wants out, and quite rightly so. And by the way, that's what I told her. But I'll tell you what I told her in a second. That's part of what I told her. So here is a pretty obvious question, but I've got to ask it so that the person or people who may be watching this on the replay can hear this from all of you. It's just not my opinion. It is the opinion of the group. My second question is it okay for a father to physically abuse his daughter? As in beating her? Sakura, no. Jody, no. Triona, never. By the way, I would like to say mother or father. Linda says mental or physical, no way. So, viewer, you know who you are. Everybody says this is not right. It's not just me. Everybody here says it's not right. Just so that you know. And I understand the culture, and that's why we will continue to talk about this. So again, I know some of you have already answered this, but let's make sure that we are quite clear. What did you, the viewers, think about the advice from the police? Which was suck it up. He is your father, you know. You know, Triona, the culture thing in Asia is shocking. That's what Triona says. But it has good intent. Now, Linda makes, I think, a very relevant point. It wasn't advice. It was just a way of not dealing with it. They actually passed the buck back to her, which was not right. She phoned for protection, and they ended up putting her back into the mouths of alligators. That is wrong. Chip saying, nope, throwing their opinion out the window. Terrible advice, Jody says. Very wrong. The police are supposed to protect. And I quite agree, Jody. That is their job, to serve and protect. What did they do to protect her from her father? Zip. Nothing. There are two other words I want to use, and the second word would have been all. But, you know, it's just like, really, you know how angry I was about that. But different culture. But obviously, the person who wrote to me knows that's wrong. Right? If you think about it, you don't get to write to me without, at some level, knowing that this was wrong. You understand? So, yay. Well done, viewer. They've obviously been watching quite a few of the broadcasts. And here's the big question that I want you to really think about. Doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female. If this woman was your daughter, what advice would you give her? If this woman whose story we are telling was your daughter, what advice would you give her? Linda, without batting an eyelid, said, get out. Right? Let's hear what you would tell your daughter. Jody saying, get out now. What advice would you give this person if they were your son or daughter? Now, Sakura, who has lived in this culture, says the sad part is that when a person kicks out a parent, that person will be labeled a horrible daughter and will get lots of hate. Yep, I quite agree. I quite agree that that could happen. But you know something? I don't condone violence against women, especially from somebody who, if you remember, she described that he is way bigger than she is. Remember, she said, I am small, even though I'm 32, that she is small. Do you remember her saying that? I thought that was relevant. Does anybody else have any input for her? Sakura says, I would tell them to put the parent in prison and make him responsible for what he did. Right, Linda. Support network is needed for anybody in this situation. And that's why I'm doing this broadcast. How many of you can understand now why I'm doing this broadcast? Because, and I think Sakura will tell you this, that there isn't support for this type of thing in that culture. Triona, you must remember this is in Asia, so there might, sorry, let me first of all read what Triona said. Find them a nice elder care home. Sorry, I hear an alarm going. Hold on a second. Okay, so Carla. All right, Sakura says abuse is abuse. I understand. Linda says, Sal, we can have little support in this culture. Well, that's the whole reason, if you remember, this is the whole reason why I started to do DearMamaSal, because, I believe we can support people in Asia just by educating them. And, that is part, that they need to know that abuse is abuse, that there's no reason. My next question, because it's important for viewers who may be in this situation to understand what causes a father to physically abuse his daughter. And by the way, let's rather say what causes a man to physically abuse a woman. Let's just, from your understanding and your knowledge, because let's find out, make sure that we educate. What causes somebody to abuse another person? Sakura, by the way, said an elder home is so expensive and most can't afford that. Also, older care homes are scarce. Yes, I think I sort of alluded to that, Sakura, because I'm aware of that. So the question is, what causes a father or a man to physically abuse his daughter or a woman? What causes, and by the way, it goes both ways. Women abuse men, but what causes somebody to physically abuse somebody? From your experience. Good point by Sakura. Yes, they were abused themselves. And they were taught that women are slaves and shown to do that. You see, in that culture, if I believe that the expression monkey see, monkey do is relevant. Yes, Jody, if they perceive insubordination, in other words, they grew up in a military type situation, they might see it as insubordination. I told you to do this and I am your father. You have to do this. Well, we know that's not true. Because she's an adult, she doesn't have to do anything. And how many of you have been in situations where you listen to the father or mother treat their child in that way? I don't know what happened. They turned the alarm off and now it's going again. Yeah, Sakura with her background says a lot. Yes, I agree. I have seen it a lot as well. And I want to tell you, when I have traveled to Asia, I've been horrified in some cases. By the way, when I live here in Canada, I have seen some parents talk to their children, grown children, in a way that I go, wow, yeah, I wouldn't put up with that. But, it's not for me. I got to be quite honest, because I have occasionally said to the daughter or the son, "You're a better person than I am, because I know how I would answer it if somebody spoke to me like that." Which in my view is trying to get the message across. That's not right. So, pretty easy question here: is the father responsible for his behavior? And can he justifiably say, that's what I was taught? You don't talk back to a parent. So if she talks back to me or she doesn't do what I tell her, um, you have to punish the behavior. What if he was taught that and hasn't learned anything since then? Do any of you understand that that is possible? And that that even if the daughter tries to tell him, he, he will just see it as insubordination, as Jody says. Yeah, Chip is saying she's trying to understand. Yeah, it's difficult to believe, I know, in this day and age. So Jody's saying, in the Asian culture, is the abuse treated the same way, basically overlooked? If it's between a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife as well? Yes. Sakura, my experience has been that you are the dutiful wife and you put up with whatever it is you're given in a very large number of cases. Sakura is adding, there's also a concept in Asia, the children are their retirement plan. We are trained from a young age that they will take care of us, that they took care of us and gave us life, so we take care of them for the rest of their lives. Yes, that's a very important cultural point to this. But Sakura, may I ask you a question? And Sakura's adding, yes, traditionally, but there are some that fight, and they are rare. But here is the question, Sakura. Is it true that, that the training is only one person is meant to look after them? I mean, your families are pretty big from my experience. You don't have 1.5 children per household. So the fact that the other children have abandoned their father, how many of you understand that she needs to pass him on? It's like that, she is not responsible alone. The family is responsible. And that includes, uncles, aunts, maybe everybody takes a month a year or something. There is a way of doing this that is workable. Yeah, I know it's difficult. Jody's saying, thank you for the info, trying to get a grasp on this. Yeah, and that's why I'm really glad Sakura is here as well, because, okay, Sakura says, yes, we are four, and everyone told me that I would be taking care of my mother because I am the only girl and I am the youngest. Now, how many of you are going, what? So the responsibility in the Asian culture falls on the youngest female. By the way, some of you will have heard me talk about my son, Dougie. I say son because he adopted me. And Dougie is the firstborn male in his family. And he is responsible for the whole family. As the firstborn son, nobody makes a major decision in their lives, even though he lives here in Canada and the rest of the family are still back in Kenya. Nobody makes a major decision in their lives without consulting him. And when I first met him, he was just 17, 18, somewhere in there, and he already had responsibility for everybody. Even though he wasn't working yet, even though, that's the culture. Okay, so Sakura's saying, though now she is in the US, that is out for now, right? She's not looking after her mother now. But if she gets ill, I would have to go back home and take care of her. You wouldn't have to, but you may choose to. Do you understand the difference, Sakura? Your culture says That is your responsibility. And that is what it is. It's a cultural thing. And by the way, Sakura, just so you understand, it also was cultural to whip your wife with a stick that wasn't bigger than, it had to be less than the size of your thumb, in width. It was okay. That was culture. It was okay to have slaves. That was culture. There are all sorts of things, Sakura, that we now know to be totally wrong. So you don't have to, you may choose to. Do you understand the difference? You may choose to break the cultural bond and thereby maybe teach your children that the job of a parent is, but how many of you have some compassion for the parent? If you grew up believing that, yeah, so Sakura's saying that's the same in our culture. I'm talking about Dougie, right? My oldest brother took care of me and disciplined me when I was younger. I understand, Mama Sal. Yeah, I had a feeling you would, Sakura. And, I'm lucky that I have traveled the world enough to have seen this in play in most continents in the world. And so, and that was 30 years ago. And, it's like, I know it still goes on because I get emails about it all the time. So, do you all understand that if you grew up in this way, and you didn't get any other knowledge, that it makes sense in some ways? It's not right, but it makes sense in some ways. Even though a lot of children now understand differently, they still feel responsible for their elders. All right? I am pretty sure that even though I'm not, for example, Dougie's biological mother, or even Benji's biological mother, you know what I mean? I can name a lot of people that have adopted me as their mother. If do I believe that they will be there for me when I need them? Maybe. I'm certainly not banking on it. I believe it's my responsibility to look after my own needs, not somebody else's. How many of you agree with me? So I wondered whether any of you want to know what advice I gave to this young person, because how many of you are going to get an email like this, maybe from a friend or a friend of a friend, or maybe a girlfriend of whatever? So Sakura is saying, working with my father-in-law, I understand more and I'm able to protect myself from external and start taking care of me first. Yes, Sakura, you are very lucky to have a father-in-law who really has been sent. I believe he is an angel in your life. All right. I believe he has been sent to teach you what your rights are as a human being. And so give him a big hug from me. Right. And me. Okay. Well, it's why I do what I do, Sakura, because I know I'm very fortunate that I understand these things. So I also understand the culture. So what I did is I wrote back, and the first thing, by the way, when anybody writes to you with something like this that's very emotionally charged for you, and I can understand, some of you know that I'm tearing up here just even talking about it because it just makes me so angry. But the first thing I did, and I really recommend this, when somebody writes to you something as emotionally charged as this, I wrote back and I said, please imagine, reread this, and please imagine I am writing it to you. What advice would you give me? Because I have found that most people who are brave enough to write to you in the first place already have the answers. But they're scared that the answers are wrong. But the funny thing is, the way we would protect a friend is normally far greater than the way we protect ourselves. How many of you have found that out? You're far more protective of your friends than, yeah, I really do believe that. I believe she needed confirmation that what she knew to be right was right. So what I did is I wrote to her and said, now imagine I've written this to you and then write me back what you would advise me. And of course, she gave me the right advice. But here's what I said, just so that you know, because I understand the culture. And I said to her, you need to have a very serious talk to your father. And you need to tell him, because I believe that everybody deserves fair warning, that you will not tolerate being abused. Whether he is your father or not is irrelevant. You will not tolerate abuse. Therefore, this is his final warning. If he lays a hand on you one more time, you are not going to be looking after him anymore. You see, one of the viewers is saying here, and by the way, the chat line will not be shown when I repeat this. So that's the first thing I disconnect when I can't go off the live stream. Somebody here is saying, I'm a mama bear with my friends, but I could never protect myself, especially from sexual abuse. Yeah. So I believe that the abuse that she is getting is that of beatings rather than sexual abuse, but it's equally bad. So how many of you understand that it's a really good idea to give somebody a warning, whether it's your friend or not? Just say, excuse me, I'm hoping that what you did was a mistake. I need you to know that this is my home. I pay the bills, and I choose not to tolerate this sort of behavior. So this is a choice you're going to have to make. You do this behavior one more time. You beat me one more time. Doesn't matter whether I'm your child or not. Then I just want to warn you that you will no longer be welcome in my house. Because physically abusing somebody is not right. And if the answer is, well, the police said I was okay or whatever, because how many of you know that one's going to come back? I would say the police were wrong. Nobody should have to suffer physical abuse at the hands of their parents in this day and age. I understand it used to be okay in your generation, but the generation rules have changed. It used to be okay to sexually abuse somebody that worked for you just because you had the power. It's no longer okay. It used to be okay to have slaves. It is no longer okay. Women used not to be able to vote, but that changed a long time ago. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like times have changed, Papa. And I want to tell you that I am changing with the times, and I do not feel responsible for looking after you if you abuse me. I will look after you if you treat me fairly. It's okay if you're angry. I understand that. But you lay a hand on me and you are out of here. Well, where would I go? That is something you need to think about before you hit me again. However, do you all understand that one thing I said to her is do not start having that conversation until you know you can follow through? Right? So you have to know what your plan is before you put down that warning. Do you all understand that? She needs to have in place, if this happens again, I am sending Papa to my sisters. And whether or my brothers, whether they like it or not is irrelevant. This is like, if I'm being beaten here, that is not right. You need to look after him because you're a man. And he won't beat you, but he does beat me. And I'm sorry if you don't like it. I'm sorry if it's inconvenient. I'm sorry, but you are still his child and you are as responsible as I am. So come get him. He's staying with you. Well, I don't care. I've done this. I've done it for the last, 8 years, whatever. I've done this. Now it's your turn. Hand him over because he is beating me. And quite honestly, there's part of me that goes, if necessary, leave the country. So, big stuff, right? How many of you want to send a little bit of encouragement to that viewer? And how many of you are grateful for the risk she took in telling us so that we could all learn a bit more about the culture and a bit more about what happens every day in families? Yes, Sakura's saying, haha, that's what I did. I left the country, thanks to God. Yeah, I did it too, by the way. I did it too for different reasons, but the only way I could get out of one situation was to leave the country, and I did. And I stayed out. Yes, Jody, I agree. That took courage to write that letter. And I want to make sure that you all understand that writing the letter is a very what do you call it? Cathartic. You know the word I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's good for you to do it. Words just escape me. One of the joys of getting older. Somebody will help me here. But it's really good to write that letter, right? Do you understand? Because in writing it, she gets to feel the emotion. In writing it, cathartic is the word. Thank you, Jody, right? Sakura wants to tell you, viewer, that she is not alone, and to be brave, God will guide her, and my heart goes out to her. Yes. And how many of you, if she were to ask for it, would be willing to be there for her and be part of her support group, just in case she happens to listen to this or watch it? And how many of you, if she writes to me and says, yes, I'd like people I can talk to about this, how many of you would want to be on that team? I'm definitely there. Yeah, Sakura, without a doubt, said she would. And by the way, because Sakura has had that experience. Yeah, Jody says absolutely she'd be there for you. Yeah, and so I know that this of my viewers, right? That's why we're here. We're here to help other people. But my number one thing would be Sakura has firsthand knowledge of this, so probably is a very good resource because Sakura has got out of it and now has a role model, a father role model, who is exactly what I started with. Sakura, you weren't there probably when I gave the quote, but would you agree a daughter needs a dad to be the standard against which she will judge all men? All right. So that's the sort of, you deserve a dad who is loving. Love is not beating somebody. Love is not feeling you have the right to control them. Love is not demanded. Love is earned. Am I making sense to anybody? Believe me, I know. I've been on the wrong side of this. Jody, I'd like a time check for 1:34. All right, changing the mood a bit. I got a parcel. Yay! And I was going to open it partially before the broadcast, but it didn't happen. So you're just going to have to bear with me. I actually partially know what's in here because it has a customs slip on it, which of course I did look at. So I know roughly what's in here. I'm not going to share it with you because I know how many of you love surprises. By the way, this is from a street teamer. For those of you who know about the Dancember street team, this is from a street teamer that I helped. Some of you know I spend all year helping them. And she said she wanted to send me a thank you gift. And I said, no. It's what I do. Don't worry about it. I don't need a gift. This is what I love to do. And she just wouldn't take no for an answer. Oh, Sakura is saying she has a picture for me regarding paper stacks. Yes, and shredding. Sakura loves shredding. And by the way, she loves surprises. Okay, so here we are. Beautiful paper, tissue paper. Okay, hang on a second. There are two things in the box. And the first thing is coffee. For those of you who don't know, I love my coffee. And this is, by the way, comes all the way from Jamaica. See. So, Suzanne, I want to thank you. Hang on a second. So let's see what the card says. Dear Mama Sal, hope you enjoy the coffee and the bag. Oh, this is the other thing. It's a bag. I'm going to show you in a second. Thanks for all the help. Greetings from Jamaica. And it took a while. It was mailed on the 22nd of June, and it got to me this week. I purposely didn't open it because I thought it would be wonderful to open it in front of you. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I haven't seen what sort of coffee it is, and the bag is all stitched up. So I don't want to do that quickly. I want to do that properly because it's beautiful. Oh, wait a minute. It's a medium roast ground, 100% Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee. So guess what I'll be drinking this week? All right. And then she also sent me a bag. Isn't that cute? So it's a little makeup bag, or whatever I choose it to be bag. How many of you have found that having little bags like this inside your big purses is a really good idea? You know, I carry, I actually use plastic bags, but I'm now going to upgrade. You know, I have one that I keep my electrical equipment in, you know, like chargers and power packs and things, you know, in one. And then I have another baggie for something else. I have one for my makeup. So at least, you know, it's not all just running around in the bottom of my purse. So sweet. Yeah, isn't it sweet? So understand that I did ask her, please not to send me a present, but she did anyway. So how many of you know that my heart is very touched by that? And I look at it and I always find it incredible that, you know, sometimes it's the people who can least afford to do this that actually do it. And it's just amazing. So I really wanted to thank her. I'm trying to see, I wonder if she made the bag. I hope not, because she's terribly talented. But you never know. It doesn't have a tag on it that says one way or the other. Anyway, I'm gonna be using this inside my purse, and this is going inside my body. And I will probably make a cup of it. Well, maybe for the next broadcast. So you'll get to see what I think of it. So thank you is what I say, Suzanne. Thank you so much for thinking of it. Thank you for not letting me convince you not to send it, because I'm actually really happy. How many of you... Yeah, that's very kind. Those of you watching on the replay, Jody just put in a gift suggestion. All right, she's just donated $5 towards the work that we do. And if you enjoyed this broadcast, not enjoy as in enjoy, ha, 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 but if you learned anything in this broadcast and want to contribute, for those of you who are watching now, you can just hit the little $ button underneath, and then there's a little slider bar that you can decide how much you'd like to contribute. For those of you watching on the replay, go to DearMamaSal.com, and in the top right-hand corner, there is a donation button, and that helps pay for all the technological things that happen that nobody thinks about that actually do cost money. And by the way, wasn't an issue when I was working, but now that I'm not, it actually is an issue. And I would like to continue to do what I do. So any help would be greatly appreciated. So may I ask you all, What have you learned today? This was not an easy subject. How many of you are glad that I discussed it, and why? And what did you learn? So lots of questions there, but it's important. And I say it's important because I know so many of my viewers that may not be here in the broadcast, but are there for the replays, need to hear what went on here. And so I want to thank the person who wrote me this letter from the bottom of my heart. And that's what I told them when I wrote to them. I said, you know, I asked permission to discuss this, but I don't want to do it without your permission because I don't want to give you a shock. Because I know how many people need to hear the answers. And all right, so Sakura said she learned not to be a pushover from culture, and things do change. Take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. Yes, how many times have you heard me say, look after one another, but most of all, look after yourself? I want to tell you that I have my own version of this in some ways, and so I can relate. I think I've always, well, I don't think I know. I've always said that the people who understand this stuff the best are the people who've lived it and survived it. The fact that this person left once means she can do it again. And for that I'm very hopeful for. But to do so, do you understand she's going to need to overcome her culture? And she will run the risk of being alienated for life by her family. Sakura, what would happen to you if your mother got ill and you decided not to go back? And look after her. That you left it to the children who are still in the Philippines. I just want to make sure everybody understands the price that you would pay. And by the way, Sakura, just because that is your culture, does your husband fully understand that? And what plans are you making in case that should happen? That I think a lot of people would want to know that. All right, so Sakura said, I would feel terribly guilty to the point of getting sick myself and full of worry. But that would be self-inflicted, Sakura. You understand that? You would do that to yourself. How many of you know that a lot of the religions are built on guilt? Right? They set up the guilt trip from a very early age. And it's a very powerful thing, a way to control people with guilt. And how many of you feel some compassion for the parents who have lived a life believing that when they get older, the children will look after them? All right? Because that's the culture. All right, now the interesting thing is Sakura's new husband says, yes, he does fully understand. And he said that if need be, he would let me stay there a while and that he would understand fully. That is one heck of a husband. Jody said, I'm very glad that you discussed it because it will help so many people. I learned about the culture differences in Asia that I had no grasp of. And that makes me angry, to be honest. But also, Jody, does it give you some compassion for what Sakura and other viewers go through on a daily basis? Yeah, I understand that it makes you angry. But do you understand that it is a culture? So much compassion, yeah. And that's really why I wanted to discuss it. And I'm hoping if you're watching this on the replay, two things. Number one, feel free to have some input if you wish to have it. We always love the comments. I try really hard to answer all the comments, and I think to date I have done so. And if I ever missed one, it was by accident, not because out of design. But if you have a situation like this and you would like some support, please do write, and we will do what we can to not only get you some input, but also get you a support team of people that might be able to work with you. You see, the thing is that we need to be able to find a win-win. We need to be able to find a little bit of protection, but on the other hand, if the police are not going to protect her, then she has to protect herself. That is called accountability. She is responsible for her behavior, and if she doesn't protect herself and the police aren't going to, she is then party to the abuse. Do you understand that? That's pretty tough stuff, but that's the 2x4. That's the hard truth. If you are in a culture that does not protect women, get out. Get out. And do everything you can, if you have to leave the country and go live somewhere else. Because if you can't outrun the problem, then you need to start planning to do that. Did any of you ever watch the movie Enough? I think it was Jennifer Lopez. Yep, it was Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, an amazing movie. And I'm not recommending violence because she actually got revenge, and I'm not recommending that. But I thought it was interesting because she was abused, and then the switch went, and she went, okay, no more, enough. So, Sakura, that's very kind of you. I'm not going to repeat that because I'm hoping you mean that you will support her. Are you suggesting she comes and lives with you? But the main thing is that we know that so many people in the world are struggling like this. But the other thing that I have found, the other thing that we have found, I just want the viewer to know that, that touches my soul. But, one of my viewers is saying, if necessary, you come and live with her because she'll protect you. But what I want you to do is understand, be accountable to yourself. Well done for writing and telling the story. You will never know how many people will be helped because of your story. That's what I want you to know from the bottom of my heart. You will never know how many people you have helped. And I know the one person you wanted to help is you. And I already know you know the answers to this because you wrote to me. And the way in which you wrote to me told me you already knew what was right and what was wrong. By the way, bad behavior is taught. Do you understand? In other words, a baby doesn't grow up abusing people. They get taught that. Or they get taught that it's okay. How many of you have had a sibling bite you or smack you? And if that behavior isn't corrected, all right, then it becomes okay behavior. I don't want to share my stuff, so, I'm going to make you let go or whatever. If we don't correct that behavior, then the child learns that's okay. That's how I protect my stuff. I hurt somebody. And so this is a big wake-up call for us all. And I want to make sure that you all look at your own story around this. Where is somebody abusing you physically or mentally? And what are you doing to protect yourself? All right. This is not just the story of the viewer. We all have this going on in our lives in different ways. Yes, Sakura makes a very good point, and I believe me, I have seen it, right? She said she has lived this, and it was said to be discipline. And she said, LOL, to a point, yes, but not excessive. Yes. How many of you, where do you draw the line? And I know whether we like it or not, we have all verbally abused somebody in our life if we're human. All right. In anger. That's why I will not have discussions with people in anger anymore. Right. Whenever I get triggered enough to be angry, I actually say, excuse me, I've just got triggered and I don't want to say something I'm going to regret for the rest of my life. So I need to get out of here. And I will discuss this again when it has less emotion around it. And I really recommend that because then, by the way, it makes other people very angry because they want to fix it now. That's their stuff. And I go, yeah, I know you want to fix it now, but I cannot continue because I have been triggered. And from this point onwards, I could say something that I'm going to regret. And therefore, it is my responsibility to get out of the line of fire so that I don't. So I'm sorry that it upsets you, but I need to protect myself. And if you're willing, in a couple of days when this is all settled down a bit, then let's discuss it. But I won't do it while I am in this emotional state. So, big stuff. I want to thank you all for being on the journey. I really, Jody's saying that's great advice. Jody, I need you to be, all of us, to be really aware. Why do you cry? I find that there are 2 times that I cry: when I'm really happy and when I'm really frustrated, I cry. Right. And it's not that literally the tears will come out of my eyes, whether I mean them to or not. And so to me, it is really important that I understand what's happening. And I always remember something that Benji said to me once, and he first mentioned it to me, I think, when I went to Disneyland. And, I'd waited a lifetime to go to Disneyland. And I was watching the big light show. And he said to me afterwards, I knew how much it meant to you because you cried. And I've noticed with you, when you are really touched to the soul, you cry. And it's not that I'm sobbing, just the tears of, how many of you relate to that? That when it touches my soul, I just end up crying. But equally so, if something angers me to that extent, and I don't want to say anything, all right? I don't want to abuse them verbally because I know I can, and I don't want to. Then the frustration level wells up in me, if you like. It's like a well. And then I will start to cry. And so I am well aware that I would rather cry than say things I'm going to regret. And I assure you that in doing DearMamaSal, how many of you have noticed how I handle haters on comments? Have any of you ever noticed that? Because the way I handle haters in the comments is how I try to handle the haters in my real life. Drinking my calories. And because to my mind, everybody has an opinion and everybody has the right to their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. I used to try and correct everybody, but I found out that was a total waste of energy 9 times out of 10. And so what I will do is I will thank them for their opinion. And sometimes I'll even say I'll give that some thought. Even if it's something that they've said that totally is against what I believe, I'll say I'll give that some thought. I don't say I'm going to do it. I don't say they're right. I say thank you for your opinion because that is all that it is. It is their opinion. They're not right. And when you have got that solidly in your being, you will find that life changes. Wow, yes, Jody, that's quite right. I did post that story a long time ago. Actually, would you give me a reminder on that one? Maybe it's time to put that up again. That's actually a great reminder. Thank you, Jody. Yes. Because you know why it stayed with you, Jody? Is because you could see the picture. You see, I don't know if you guys all understand that. When when we live life, we actually live a movie. All right. Everything that happens around us is stored as a movie. And so you know the saying, a picture paints 1,000 words, because really, how many of you, when I was telling this story, actually lived or saw the movie of what was happening to this person? Hi, Pat. Are you on vacation again? So, how many of you, as I told this story, um, yes, and you need to know that is how our minds work, right? They show us the movie. And if you get a strong enough image, you will remember the image. And so that is why they say a picture paints 1,000 words. You just need the image in your mind. And you're welcoming a new grandbaby. Congratulations, Pat. How many is that now? And what new grandbaby came in and at what weight? And I'll put it on so for the congratulations section for tonight. Hang on a second, let me get back there. Your second one. Well, congratulations to everybody. So, baby boy, Gage, what a great name, weighing 7 pounds 1 ounce. Ah. Pat, I can't help thinking, and you'll forgive me for this, but I can't help thinking yin and yang, right? Last week, the news was sad in your family, and this week, the news is good in your family. And, isn't life incredible that those things can happen that way? I'm very, very happy for you. And is this, I don't know why my mind I could see the picture of you just having such fun. Quilts all over the place. And mind you, you probably had all these things ready for the newborn. I thank you so much for telling us, Pat. Now we have one of each. Yeah, very important, right? Mm, I think that's so cute. I really do. And so, again, one of the joys about doing Dear Mama Sal and having this extended family where we support one another. How many of you, although you've never met Pat or Bill, feel that you know them enough to feel the joy for them in greeting their new grandson, Gage? Yeah, with all your kids, you only have two. I know, two grandchildren. Isn't that incredible? And for those of you who don't know, Pat and Bill have spent their life adopting or looking after fostering children. How many of you had? Did you say over 100? I mean, it's amazing to me that they have spent a lifetime looking after other people's babies, either because they are, taken away from their parents for whatever reason, or their parents are ill and unable to look after them, and don't have family members. But there's a special place in heaven for Pat and Bill. I am totally convinced of that. And she still finds time to make these incredible quilts. I mean, how she does it is beyond my comprehension. I have difficulty doing one thing in a day, and Pat does so many. So, Pat, you continue to be a joy in my life because you bring such incredible stories and experiences. You got the official letter today. You can change James's name to Morris. Ah, that is so awesome. Well, I want to tell you that is amazing. It really is amazing. He's going to be your last adoption. Well, I'm certain he will be very grateful in his own time. And Pat, I think about all the years that you've been here as part of Dear Mama Sal, and you've been there through your own sickness and in health and through your own trials and tribulations. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that, because to me, I know you live on the rock, but you are a rock to the Dear Mama Sal group. And Jody, that goes under the heading of you have to know that she means it. And I know that, and Pat, I need you to know that Jody does not receive well. So this is going to be a lesson in receiving for Jody. And now she's probably beating up on herself. I shouldn't have said anything. Yeah, just like you. Isn't that interesting? I can just imagine what Jody's going through right now. You see, ask and you shall receive. Yeah, that's why, I'm crying here, but that's why I'm laughing through my tears, because I just know you well enough to know you're going, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. So, I really have to say, Pat, that is awesome. And if anybody deserves one of your quilts, it definitely is Jody. So I just wanted to let you know, in case she comes on to the next broadcast, but for those of you who don't know, Amy, if you have met Amy, actually is also in a wheelchair. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I wanted to mention that because we have quite a few of our viewers who are wheelchair bound. And I always think that is really important to know, because that affects the way they process the world and the way, their mentality and their courage and determination. I found people who are immobile in some ways are way more mobile in others, if you get my drift. And I wanted to let you know that, because Amy has said if anybody wants to know more about it, then they can ask when she's on the broadcast. So I just wanted to give you permission to do that. So, and by the way, does she need to tell you what sort of color scheme is in that room? Will that help you as well? No, I know, Jody. That's why I wanted you guys to know about it. And I do have her permission. I just wanted to make sure that, yeah. So, Jody, let Pat know roughly what your color scheme is so she can find not necessarily a perfect match, but at least maybe she's got one that's, maybe if she knows that your color scheme is more lavender, for example, that she knows not to send you a certain other color that may clash with it. I think it's lavender, isn't it? Am I right? I think it's lavender, Pat. Or a derivative. Yeah. That'll help even more. So she knows if she's got a quilt that's got either lavender or aqua in it, that will be the one that would give you the most joy. Okay, I know that anyone would give you joy, but it's Pat. She really does go above and beyond. And I want to tell you something. They are so well made. Just so that you know, Jody, they are so well made. I literally wash mine in my washing machine. I also found, by the way, Jody, I don't know. Oh, rather, Pat. I really like the fact that you put a different color at the bottom, because sometimes I turn mine over and sort of have it in a contrast. Luckily, they both work with my room, so I really appreciate that. I can't. And I assure you, of all the things I'm downsizing, that will not be one of them. So it's very special to me. All right, everybody. So thank you for this broadcast. It was a very difficult subject. Nobody wants to be talking about this sort of subject. But it's one that's going to help an awful lot of people. So I thank you all for your participation in it. I thank you all for being in the room to talk about it, because it's important for other people to know that they are valued and that they deserve to be valued. So remember, as usual, to look after one another, but most of all, remember to look after yourself. We will be back here again in a few hours. That would be 7 o'clock Pacific time, Friday night, my time. And thank you all for being here. This is DearMamaSal saying, look after one another, but most of all, remember to look after yourself. And congratulations, Pat. Wonderful news. Bye-bye for now.